Hey guys, I am Nicole. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're gonna do a 30-minute practice and it's gonna be pretty fiery, pretty sweaty, and I want to just jump right in. So let's come down onto our backs and we're gonna start there. We're gonna land on our backs with the bottoms of the feet to the mat, but walk the feet wide so that they're all the way to the edges of the mat and let the knees kind of drop in towards each other. So just giving the low back some space to release and a little bit of opening in the hips. Arms can kind of come out by the sides. We're not going to be here for long. We are going to build heat pretty quickly. But spending the first couple of moments here, just really connecting to the breath, letting go of anything that's happening outside of this room, anything that's happening outside of this moment. Fully bringing your awareness to the space of the inhale, the pause at the top, and then the exhale. And if you have the time today and you feel like it would benefit you to hang out in stillness a little bit longer, I encourage you to even pause the video and hang out right here for as long as you need, as long as it takes to feel really grounded and settled and ready to move. But for the sake of today's shorter and quicker paced video, when you're ready, we're just gonna dive right into some movement by windshield wipering the legs from side to side. So keeping the feet planted wide, but then just rocking both knees over to one side of the mat and then back through center and over to the other. You might let the eyes softly open at this point. And then eventually, we'll make our way back through neutral. Just pull the knees into the chest. Lift the shoulders up off the mat so you can clasp opposite elbows around the knees, and then find a little bit of a rock side to side, kind of compressing into the hip joints. And then let's release down onto our backs. Before we get moving, we're gonna do just one quick hip stretch. So right ankle is going to stack on top of the left knee, reclined pigeon. It's a figure 4 shape. Right arm threads through this triangle that you've created with the arms. Left arm reaches around so that you're interlacing the hands either around the left shin or the back of the left thigh. Knowing that the closer you pull the legs in towards the body here, the deeper the stretch will be in the right hip. And as you pull the legs in, check that the low back is not peeling up from the mat. So keep the low back engaged with the floor. Maybe roll out the ankles here. Maybe flex and point the toes. One more big breath. Big inhale, maybe even an open mouth exhale, especially if that feels good for the nervous system, just really letting go. And then keep the legs as they are, so right ankle stacked. Extend the arms out to a T. We're gonna keep the shoulders to the mat and just drop both legs to the left so that the bottom of the right foot meets the floor. So it's a supine twist, but a little bit different from our standard twist. Right foot plants to the mat. It's almost as if you're kind of trying to point the right knee up towards the ceiling. And then using your inhale, let's come back through center. Plant the left foot to the mat, straighten the right leg up towards the ceiling. And then interlace the the hands either around the right thigh, the right shin, maybe all the way to the foot so that we're bringing some length into the right hamstrings, really down the entire back of the leg. And for a moment here, let's alternate between flexing and pointing the right toe. So as we flex the toes back, we're getting length in the back of the leg. As we point the toes up, we're getting length in the front of the leg. And then figure 4, second side. So left ankle on top of the right knee. Left arm threads through, right arm reaches around. So you're interlacing hands either around right shin or right thigh. And again, just checking as we invite the legs in towards the body that we're not lifting the low back from the mat. We're keeping the low back pretty engaged with the floor. And eyes can be open and soft or they can close, but knowing that we're just hanging out here for 2, maybe 3 more cycles of breath. I always like in this shape to even initiate a little bit of movement, maybe a gentle rock here, kind of from side to side, just brings the stretch throughout the hip. Last breath, and just like we did on the first side, I encourage you to maybe play with opening the mouth for the exhale and really intentionally letting go. And then drop the arms out into a cactus or into a T, and we'll let the legs drop to the right side of the mat and make sure that the left foot plants on the floor. So it's like you're trying to point the left knee up towards the ceiling, and you're also keeping the left shoulder touching the mat. And just one more cycle of breath here. And then using your inhale, bring the legs back through center. Keep the right foot planted, or plant the right foot to the floor. Left leg straightens up towards the ceiling. And then hands interlace either around left thigh, left shin, or maybe all the way to the foot, bringing length into the left hamstrings, maybe into the calves. And just like we did on the first side, let's alternate between flexing and pointing the left toes. So flex the left foot back and then point it up. Couple more. And then finding your way back through neutral. Let's bend into both knees, planting both feet to the floor. So we're going to start to build some heat here. Feet plant hip-width distance apart. Let's drop the hands down by the sides. And then grounding into the feet on your inhale, let's press the hips up, finding a round of bridge pose. Roll the shoulders underneath you just a little bit. Make sure that the head and neck stay in line with the spine here. And then shift your weight into the left foot and straighten your right leg up towards the ceiling, pointing out the right toes. Come up onto the left toes. So left heel lifts, and then drop the left heel down. Keep everything else the same. Left heel lifts, and then exhale to release. One more time, come onto the ball of the left foot. And then exhale, left heel down. Keep the hips lifted, just drop the right foot back down to the mat. And then we swap it out. Left leg extends up towards the ceiling, point out the left toes. Really ground through the right foot to drive the hips up towards the ceiling, and then come up onto the ball of the right foot, so right heel lifts. And then exhale, release. 2 more times, come onto the ball of the right foot, hips lift, and then let it go. 1 more time, come onto the right toes, really press the hips up high. And then stay on the right toes, now drop the left toes to the floor. So we're in our bridge pose, but the heels are lifted. 1 more press through the toes to lift the hips really high, and then both heels are going to drop down to the mat. See if you can ground into the heels and lift the rest of the foot from the floor. So all 10 toes lift from the mat. And then feet flat on the floor. 1 more press, lift the hips, and then using your exhale, 1 vertebrae at a time, let's take a slow roll down. Pulling knees into the chest. We're going to roll over into a plow pose, so toes behind the head. It's okay if they don't reach the mat completely, but just letting yourself find some length in the back of the neck and really down the entire back body. Then using your exhale, we're going to start to roll down the spine. Using the strength of your core, lower the heels all the way down to the mat. So the slower you go, the more difficult this becomes. Once the heels are all the way down, extend the arms up overhead, kicking through the heels, reaching through the fingertips. Full body stretch. Oh, it feels so good. And then keep the backs of the heels glued down. As you exhale, use the core to roll up the spine. So 1 vertebrae at a time, making your way all the way up. All right. We're going to pull the toes back. Actually, let's do this. Let's point the toes forward. Plant the fingertips somewhere around the knees-ish. Maybe a little forward of the knees. You'll find your place. Then you're going to press into the fingertips and see if you can lift the right foot from the floor. And then right foot drops and then left foot lifts. And then left foot drops. You can either alternate back and forth here, or you can press into the fingertips and pulse both feet from the floor at the same time. So little baby pulse, really activating into the lower core and into the front of the hips, even into the quads. Take 5 more. Even here, finding some sort of connection to the breath. Final 2. And then lowering the heels down. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, bend into the knees. Lift the hips for a reverse table. So your fingers point to the top of the mat here. If that's too much for the wrists, you can rotate the fingers out just slightly. Press through the hands, press through the feet, lift the hips, lift the heart. And then drop the hips back down to the floor. One more little burst of heat for the core. For now, we're gonna lift into a boat pose. So shins parallel to the mat to start. If you ever need extra support in your boat pose, hands can come to the backs of the thighs. You could even bring hands to the mat. If you want more of a challenge, legs straighten. Take a big inhale here. On your exhale, we're gonna lower down to a hollow hold. So heels and heart to a hover above the mat. Inhale to come up, boat. Exhale, hover, hollow hold. Inhale, come up, boat. Exhale to hover. Inhale, up. We'll go 2 more. Exhale, lower down. Inhale to come back up. Last one, exhale, hover and hold. And then on your inhale, we're gonna come up through boat. We're gonna plant the feet, and then with or without the hands, see if you can lift all the way to your forward fold at the top of the mat. Clasp opposite elbows here. Find a little bit of a sway side to side. Drop the head, maybe shake the head, yes, no. And rolling out the back of the neck. Big exhale through the mouth. And then releasing the hands down, 1 vertebrae at a time. On your inhale, let's roll up the spine. And making your way all the way up to standing. Arms extend up overhead at the top. Bring palms all the way to touch. Let's shift onto our toes so that the heels lift. And then slow motion. So like I pressed the slow motion button on the TV, we're gonna bend into the knees as if your back was moving down an imaginary wall behind you. So keeping the upper body really straight until the hips drop all the way down to the heels. Just as slowly, or even slowlier is what I was gonna say, slower. Slowly, we're gonna come all the way back up. Stay on the toes. All the way up to standing, reach through the crown of the head, straighten out the legs. And then one more time, slow motion, maybe even double time. Bend into the knees until eventually the hips land all the way on top of the heels. Circle the hands around so that they interlace at the low back. Pulling heart through, maybe lifting tailbone just a bit. And then keeping the hands interlaced, drop the heels, lift the hips, forward fold. Drop the head, soften the jaw. And release the hands down to the floor. On your next inhale, let's take just a halfway lift, so you're lengthening out the spine, really reaching crown of the head forward. And then exhale to release. Plant the hands, step back, high plank. Wrists underneath the shoulders. Start to take a little shift forward and back here, so we're getting into the wrists and we're firing up the core. And then finding your way back through neutral, take a big step forward with both hands, like really big step forward. So we're hollowing out our plank shape. Press the floor away from you so much that the biceps find their way towards the ears. Slight tuck of the tailbone just to make sure the core is super strong. And then on your exhale, let's soften the forearms down to the mat. So elbows underneath the shoulders. Press the floor away. Long inhales, slow exhales. 2 more cycles of breath. Again, maybe taking that little shift forward and back, getting into the ankles, bottoms of the feet. Drop the knees to the floor. Untuck the toes. Sphinx pose. We're going to roll the belly and the hips down and forward to contraction the heart through. So we're going to stretch out the belly here, get into the spine. Make sure the glutes are engaged. If you feel like you're ready for more of a back bend, you could play with straightening the arms or even just hovering elbows off the mat. But of course, only go as far as feels protected in the low spine. On your exhale, elbows drop down, release the heart down, slide the hands back so that they plant directly underneath the shoulders. We're gonna curl onto the toes, and then either with the knees down on the mat or the knees lifted for more of a challenge, we're gonna press into the hands until we come all the way up through high plank. And then exhale, send the hips back, downward dog. First down dog, couple cycles of breath here just to pedal out the feet, to bend into one knee and then into the other knee. Shifting hips side to side. And then using your next inhale, let's sweep the right toes high. Start here just by bending the knee and opening up the hip, so getting some length really kind of throughout both legs here. On your exhale, we're going to shift forward. Right knee taps the right elbow. Pause here and hold it, pressing floor away. Stay forward. Now just bring the right knee to the left elbow. Slide the knee down to the left wrist, and then across the body, right wrist. Up to the right elbow, left wrist, over to the right wrist. One more time, right elbow, left elbow, and pause. Straighten out the right leg, right foot plants to the mat, outside edge of the right foot. Left foot spins flat. Now open up to a fallen star. So hips lift, left fingertips lift, and then circle the left hand all the way to the front of the room. And then circle the left hand down. On your inhale, kick the right toes all the way back, three-legged down dog. And then exhale, right knee into the chest. Step the foot all the way through. Drop the hips down and forward. We're going to keep the left knee lifted. Crown of the head stays reaching forward. We're just going to extend the hands to the front of the room. So finding your power lunge. Knit the rib cage up and in. Crown of the head reaches. On your inhale, we're going to open up to a warrior two, but we're going to pivot all the way to the back of the mat just to make it a little extra fun. So left toes point to the back of the mat. Right foot is parallel to the new back of your mat. And arms are extended long. If that means I turned your back to the computer, it's okay. You can just listen to me. So reach long through the fingertips. Sink a little deeper into the left knee. And then inhale, reverse your warrior. Right hand, right thigh, left arm up and over. On your exhale, cartwheel the hands. We're going to frame out the left foot. Step back to your high plank. So top of a push-up. So you're facing the back of your mat now. And then bend into the elbows until you lower just halfway. So finding your chaturanga and pausing. Knees can always drop. Press right back up, high plank. Two more times. Exhale, halfway hover. Inhale, high plank. Last one. Exhale, halfway hover, and then pull through upward dog. I blame whoever was commenting on my post asking for sweaty classes. Send the hips up and back, downward dog. Whew. All right, it's a super small little mini sequence, but we get to do it again. You're in a down dog facing the back of your mat, and now we're gonna work our way back around. Inhale, left toes lift. Bend the knee, open the hip, so left knee is kind of pointing directly up towards ceiling. And then exhale to shift forward, tap the left knee to the left elbow. All right, here's where we're holding. So we're staying under shoulders. Slide the left knee down to left wrist, cross the body, right wrist, and then up to the right elbow. Back to the left elbow, left wrist, right elbow, last one, left elbow, down to the left wrist, cross the body, right wrist, up to the right elbow and pause. Fallen star, straighten through left leg, so the outside edge of the foot to the floor. Right foot spins flat, right fingertips sweep high. Whew. Let's reach the right hand all the way to the front of the room, getting that really yummy length down the right side body. And then circle the right hand back down to the mat. Kick the left toes back, three-legged down dog. On your next exhale, pull the left knee into the chest, step the foot through between the hands. So hips drop down and forward. Crown of the head reaches forward as we keep our body in the same 45-degree shape and just extend the fingertips to the front of the room. Breathe into it. Feel the burn. I don't know if I've ever said that before. Feel the burn. All right, one more breath here. Fingertips really extend forward. We're going to open up to our warrior two to the front of the mat. So pivoting all the way forward, right toes to the front of the room, front of the mat. Left foot is parallel. Whew, we've made our way back. Take a little bit of a deeper bend in the right knee until it really stacks on top of the right heel and you're fired up in the right glutes. On your inhale, reverse your warrior. Left hand, left thigh, right arm up and over. And then exhale to cartwheel the hands. Frame out the right foot, step back, high plank. So wrists are underneath the shoulders. We're gonna pause. Lift the right toes from the mat. And then come up onto the left fingertips. So right toes are lifted, you're on the left fingertips. You can either stay here, or you can bring the left hand to tap the right shoulder. Ooh, back to our high plank. And then we'll swap it out. Left toes lift. You can hang out here. You can come up onto right fingertips. Maybe right hand taps left shoulder. Come back through your high plank, pause. Last big cycle of breath. We're gonna move through a vinyasa, but I encourage you to move with the breath. So even though we're moving at a quicker pace today, exhale halfway lower. Inhale, up dog or baby cobra. And then exhale, downward facing. Open the mouth for an exhale here. Let it feel good. And then using your next exhale, step, walk, or hop the feet to the top of the mat, forward fold. Use your inhale to halfway lift. Lengthen out the spine. Exhale, let it go. Inhale to rise, coming all the way up through standing. Arms extend up overhead. And then exhale, palms to touch at heart center. One full cycle of breath. Knowing that even as we pick up the pace and we add on some really challenging shapes, that we don't lose the purpose of the practice, which is to stay with you, to stay with breath as we move. All right, let's shift our weight into the left foot. One more little sequence here. Right knee comes up into the chest. Let's bring the left hand to the left hip, and we're just gonna start here by taking some kind of big hip circles. So you might use the right hand, you might not. Switch direction of the circles. Full rotation of the femur in the hip socket. And then find your way back through center. We're gonna extend the right leg forward, both hands to the hips to start. Right toes really pull back, lift the foot even higher, and then see if you can open the leg to the right side of the mat. How far can you open it up? And then we're gonna start to lever the upper body forward as we rotate the right foot all the way around. Virabhadrasana 3. Hands are still on the hips just for a moment, just maybe to check that the right hip shifts down a bit to keep the hip square. Let's bring arms out to a T. Legs are gonna stay as they are, as if you're just kind of rotating the lungs around the heart. We're gonna twist the upper body to the left. So right hand reaches down. Maybe it reaches the floor or prop, or for more of a challenge, you can even just hover the fingertips. Keeping this twist on your exhale, bend into the knees, right knee taps left calf. So you're finding your Shiva squat, right fingertips either to a hover or to the floor, upper body is twisted. And then kick back, reverse half moon. 2 more times, exhale, tap, right knee, left calf. And then inhale to kick. Last one, exhale, tap, right knee, left calf. We're gonna pause and hold it. Release the twist of the upper body, planting fingertips to the floor, and then kick up, standing split. So right toes really sweep high. On your exhale, bend into the left knee until right toes drop to the back of the mat. Come all the way up, high crescent. On your exhale, we're gonna soften right knee to the floor here. Hands to the base of the skull, open up the heart. Definitely one of my favorites. You guys have done this one with me a lot. Big heart opener. Inhale to release the back bend. Drop the hands to frame out the left foot. Keep the right knee to the mat as you kick the left foot back, three-legged table. Okay, right knee is to the mat. We're gonna bend into the elbows, lower the chin and chest to the floor. And then as you press back up, lift the right knee from the mat and pull the left knee to nose. Kick all the way back, three-legged down dog. And then soften the left foot next to the right foot, downward dog. On your exhale, ripple the spine forward so you've landed in your high plank. And then either add on your vinyasa with the breath, or you can move straight back to your downward dog. Okay, we get to do that same little mini sequence, and then we get to slow it down. It's amazing how fast a half an hour goes. All right, exhale, step, walk, hop, float, handstand, eventually landing at the top of the mat. Forward fold, however you get there. With your inhale, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale to release. Inhale, rise, come all the way through standing. Arms extend up overhead. And then exhale, palms touch through heart center. Okay, we start by bringing weight into the right foot. Left knee comes up into the chest, and then we're just gonna take those big circles with the left leg. So rotating the femur head in the hip socket, maybe you use the left hand to kind of pull the left knee up. Switch direction of the circles. And then finding your way back through neutral, extend the left leg long in front of you, left toes pull back, hands are at the hips. Foot lifts as high as you can. Then we're gonna open the leg to the left side of the mat. Even if the leg doesn't feel very high, this leg does not feel like it's cooperating as much as the first side. Let's swing the left leg all the way around, levering into our warrior three. So spine parallel to the floor, knit the rib cage in, arms out to a T. And then on your exhale, legs stay as they are, upper body twist to the right, so you're kind of just rotating around the spine. Left hand is maybe even just to a hover. Keep the twist of the upper body as you bend into both knees. Left knee taps the right calf, deep bend in both knees, Shiva squat, twisted. And then inhale, kick back. 2 more times, exhale, bend, left knee, right calf. And then kick. Last one, left knee taps right calf, deep bend in both knees. We're gonna hold the legs as they are. Release all 10 fingertips to the floor. And then extend the left leg high, standing split. Left hip shifts down. Engage into the left glutes to lift the toes even higher. And then start that slow bend into the right knee until left toes drop all the way to the back of the mat. Soften the left knee down. Inhale, upper body lifts, come all the way up into your low lunge. Think of pressing the hips forward towards the top of the mat and then hands to interlace at the base of the skull as you peel the heart open towards sky. So think of pulling the elbows apart and down towards the back corners of the mat. With your inhale, let's release the back bend. Hands drop to frame out the right foot. Keep the left knee rooted to the mat. So left knee stays down as you kick the right foot back, three-legged table. So even that is kind of a compression of the right hip as you step back. Right leg stays extended as you bend into the elbows, lower the chin and the chest to tap the floor. And then as you press back up, lift the left knee from the mat and pull the right knee to nose. Inhale to kick back, three-legged down dog, right toes high. And then plant the right foot next to the left. Downward dog. On your exhale, let's ripple forward, land in your high plank. Either add on your vinyasa, or you can just send the hips straight back, meeting in your downward dog. And let's soften the knees to the floor. Untuck the toes and send the hips back to a child's pose. So hips back, heart sinks down, fingertips walk forward. Let the forehead rest on the mat. Couple more big cycles of breath here, maybe an open mouth exhale. Let's walk the hands back towards the body, coming up into a seat. Extend the legs out long in front of you. We're just going to take a few last little stretchy shapes before transitioning down. We're moving down pretty quickly for the sake of time today. Pull the toes back, spine is super tall. Arms extend up overhead, so you're lifting up and out of the waist, and then use your exhale to hinge forward. So hands can land anywhere along the legs, or maybe they reach the feet, maybe they just land on the floor. Whatever shape you land in, drop the head, so you're inviting the chin in towards the chest. 2 more breaths. Last exhale to sink a little deeper in the stretch. And then inhale to come back up through center. Legs are going to stay extended. Scoot to the top of the mat if you're not there already. Arms reach, and then use your exhale to slow roll down the spine. So one vertebrae at a time, making your way all the way down. Firing up the core as you do make it down. Once you're all the way on the back, we're going to jump right into our spinal twist. So right knee pulls in. Right arm drops out either into a cactus or into a T. And then using your exhale here, we're going to guide the right knee over the body. As you twist, check that the right shoulder is really rooted into the mat. Maybe you drop the gaze over to the right fingertips. And then using your inhale, come back through center, and we'll swap it out. Left knee pulls in, right leg extends long. And drop the left arm out either into a cactus or out into a T. And then use your exhale to find the twist. And left shoulder is rooted. Maybe the gaze drops over to the left fingertips. Inhale to come back through center. Extend both legs long so that we're landing all the way down into Savasana, all the way down onto our backs. Let the arms come out by the sides, the palms face up. And allow for the eyes to fully and completely close. Soften the jaw here. Letting the entire back body soften and release into the support beneath you. And notice at this point of the practice where the mind is at, the mind space and the heart space. Can you find a quality of presence there? So it's so easy for us to get swept away into a thought pattern that takes us into the future, even if that's just where you're going next. Or thought patterns that pull us back into the past, into something that's already happened. And that really the ability of this practice to transform and enrich and enhance our lives is so rooted in our ability to connect right here, to this moment, to this presence. And it doesn't have to be a woo-woo or out there idea to believe in the magic of this moment, of pulling ourselves back. This body, this breath. And what I encourage is that if you have the time to stay here a little bit longer, and to settle into Savasana or into a seated meditation for the next several minutes, I encourage it. For the sake of time and for the promise of a shorter practice today, if you're ready to start making your way back, let's begin by wiggling the fingers and the toes, the wrists, the ankles, and start slow here. So even though we're condensing the practice today, we're not rushing through it. So circle the wrists, circle the ankles, find the in-breath and the out-breath. And then extend the arms up overhead, finding a full body stretch. Kick through the heels, active reach through the fingertips. And we're going to take a transition up into a comfortable seat, but you can take your time along the way. That might mean that you pull the knees into the chest or that you roll onto a side and pause there for several cycles of breath. Keep the eyes closed for as much of the transition as you can, so that you can stay with you for a little bit longer. And once you've landed, back up in a seat, eyelids soften and close. Palms can either come to touch at the heart or they can stay resting wherever they are resting. And thank you so much for showing up to move with me. I hope that you have a really beautiful rest of your day, evening, morning, week, whatever it is, wherever you are. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. As I shared last week, I'm planning on sharing 2 videos a week for the month of September. What's hilarious about that is last week I only shared 1, but I'm gonna stick to trying to share 2 from here on out. But bear with me if they're spaced out or unpredictable. I did start a little post in the community section of my account so that I can share with you guys what and when I'm posting, and I will do my best to stay up to date there as well, but I kind of just film whenever there's a snippet in my day that I can. So know that filming is on the top of my priority list all month during September and then beyond, hopefully, and that more videos are coming. So comment and let me know what you want to see, what you want to practice, and if you haven't found